preparing for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC, annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your flap. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Monday morning and welcome in to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys with you right here. We hope everyone had a great weekend for sure. Another summer weekend in the books. Not to scare anybody, but I scared myself over this weekend because you look at the calendar, right? We are now currently June 29th, July 4th weekend's coming up this weekend. Not to start the show on a depressing note because I do think we have an uplifting, cheerful, fun, exciting show for you. But it's crazy to think if you kind of use the unofficial calendar of summer. You have Memorial Day as the start, Labor Day as the end for the most part. July 4th, halfway point. To think we're already basically halfway through summer is something I'm not ready to cope with. It's definitely something that kind of hit hard. For whatever reason this morning, you just kind of look at the schedule, look at the calendar, and you're like, oh, wow. July 4th is almost here. Means half the summer is almost here. There's a lot of catch-up going on. I understand, obviously, the coronavirus has made that almost impossible for the most part. But it's scary to think, the summer is just flying on by as we know it. Hopefully, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, you're enjoying it, making the most of it. As obviously, that's all we can. We can do at this point is just try to make the most of it as possible. Hopefully, you're still staying safe, staying sane. And again, we do appreciate at least starting your week with us here every Monday and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. But like I said, we do have a fun show, an exciting show. We have some news to talk about, some breaking news to talk about here. So I think outside of the depressing way to start the show, which probably is really not the best way to do it, especially want to, capture listeners, have you guys stay around for a little bit. Probably not starting with a depressing note about how quickly summer's going is the way to do it. But like I said, a fun, exciting show I want to get into here on this Monday. Interesting, on last Thursday, a former NFL receiver, Brandon Marshall, if you're a Jets fan, obviously you remember him being on the Jets a few years ago and been with the Broncos, been around the league or so. He was on Colin Cowherd's show on Thursday and talked about Aaron Rodgers specifically in Green Bay and how his time in Green Bay has been wasted. Not Aaron Rodgers, not the talent, but the Packers have wasted what they had in Aaron Rodgers, only winning one Super Bowl, only going to one Super Bowl. So I'm going to kind of break that down, dissect that, go into that question. Did the Packers actually waste Aaron Rodgers' career? We'll do that in just about 20 minutes or so. I want to get to that answer. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Once you get it on Thursday, I didn't have enough time, but I want to get into it now because I still think it's relevant. Is the NBA's plan to return to play in Orlando. About a month from now, July 30th, we'll get the first official game. The NBA just released their schedule on Friday night, so as we know, we'll have 2 games to start the season on July 30th, obviously highlighted by the Lakers and Clippers matchup, which is great. But there's still some time to reconsider, reformat the plan, and bring less teams in. Adam Silver had a conference call on Friday, and one quote stuck out to me that I think really highlights why I still think it's smart for the NBA and it's still not too late for them to reconsider the amount of teams going. Not the plan itself, not the bubble idea itself, just the amount of teams actually going down to Orlando. It's still not too late. I think they should bring less. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what he said as to why that kind of sparked my thinking. It still made that topic relevant today, even though the schedule is out. And like I said, they officially, the NBA PA, the Players Association, officially signed off on the return to play format. So now, technically and officially, the plan is in place, but I still want to explain why it's still not too late to bring less teams to Orlando. Also on Thursday, Pete Thamel, a very respected, very successful, very smart, intuitive Yahoo Sports college sports reporter, writer, wrote an interesting article on Thursday about college football and basically the uncertainty that's going to face in the spring. And he made the case as to why college football should be smart and really should be looking into moving their season into the spring. And I want to make the case, reading the article, kind of having some thoughts of my own, while looking at the landscape of not just college football for the fall, and kind of looking at what the predictions for the coronavirus are going to be during the fall. How about just looking right now what's going on in college campuses all over the country? All right, for the most part now, colleges are starting to bring their athletes back, but even then they still keep them safe. So that's why, to me, kind of reading Pete's article, I want to get into it more. College football, in order to have a quote-unquote normal season, as close to a normal season as possible, as we know it, it would be very smart for them to move to the spring. I'll tell you why at the top of the hour, top of the second hour, so 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll get into that. Of course, 10 and 20, we have 2020 or Apocalypse. I'll also explain, so now I think we're going to start to wrap it up here, at least in terms of contestant-wise, start to make a push for the playoffs. I have a format involved. I'll explain that is we have our new contestant at 10:20, but we're still taking contestants. We're still going to get to a number to where either currently right now 3 to 5 or 4 to 5 will get you in the playoffs per se. I'll explain what the playoff format's going to be, how we're going to get there at 10:20, and finally 10:40. The Knicks are in flux. What a shock! But now they are starting to start to get the process going to interview for a new head coach. there's one direction I think the Knicks have shuttered for years, have tried to avoid for years. And there's one candidate on their Knicks head coaching list. I think if they hire him, would not only be the perfect hire for the Knicks currently where they are right now, but also move them in a direction that they have tried to avoid for almost my entire life, really almost 2 decades. Because as we see with the Knicks, there's really one plan that they have. One plan of action that they keep on going for. And what's the definition of insanity, right? When you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results? That's what the Knicks and their plan and their vision has been. And I have a new plan, a new direction for the Knicks to go into. And I think if they hire this one candidate, that will change the fortunes of the Knicks for the better. And not immediately, but in the long term, be the healthiest option for them to actually get some sustainability, get some actual winning going on in Madison Square Garden. Something that, again, outside, in my lifetime for 26 years now, seen maybe 2 years of it. And I can actually remember, not counting their 1999 finals run and 1994 when I was, I guess, not even born yet, technically. So, but anyway, there's a plan out there for the Knicks that can actually have some sustainable success. We'll see if they actually go down, and I'll tell you what that plan is at 10:40 to end the show. But like I said, there's some breaking news going on last night. There's some NFL news, and a big-time quarterback has made a decision, and that big-time quarterback is Cam Newton. His decision is to sign with the New England Patriots. A shock, at least to me, to say the least. I think a shock to many across the sports landscape who cover the sport, who are fans of the NFL, because I think at this point, for the most part, once free agency got going, once you see some quarterback dominoes fall, I think got to the point where Cam Newton, there's too many question marks surrounding his health. And I thought, for the most part, his best bet of signing with the team, his best bet of trying to get a starter's job, or his best bet of getting the best contract possible for Cam in 2020 was wait till training camp start, see if someone gets hurt. And from there, when a team is desperate, they need some talent, they still want to have a chance in 2020, I think that's when Cam Newton could have stepped in and got somewhat of a solid deal. But instead, he shocks everyone, signs a very, very small, incentive-heavy 1-year contract with the New England Patriots last night, and now Cam Newton officially is a Patriot. And I had a lot of different thoughts coming about this last night. Initially, first of all, great for Cam. I'm very happy for him. There's still a lot of talent there if he can stay healthy and if he can tap into it. Still a very good player, won an MVP back in 2015. So in terms of him, I'm glad he got a contract. I'm glad a team took a chance on him. For the Patriots, I mean, really a win-win for them. A low-risk 1-year contract. Again, very incentive-heavy. So if he plays well, he'll get money. But if he stinks, if he gets hurt, if he's ineffective, it costs him nothing. So I thought initially, okay, well, come on, talk about, good job for Cam Newton, good job for the Patriots here. It's kind of a win-win for both, I'll say. But then on social media, as social media tends to do, especially on Twitter, a lot of overreaction started. A lot of the sentiment went from quickly, oh, great for Cam, I'm happy for Cam, to now I started seeing a lot of tweets about crowning the Patriots AFC East champions, talking about how much more exciting the Patriots offense is going to be in 2020 compared to 2019, obviously with Tom Brady being there in 2019. And a lot of crowning, a lot of hyping up of New England, saying that, oh man, here come the Patriots. They give it to Tom Brady. Now they're going to get even better. They're going to be really good in 2020. I'm here because I want to ask this question, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Is Cam Newton really the difference maker in New England? Is he the guy, now that he's on the Patriots, that are going to take the Patriots from maybe 9-7, let's say 10-6 on a good year, to take them to 12-4, to take them to actually be AFC contenders? Does this signing now actually make the Patriots contenders in the AFC in 2020? Should they be taken seriously? Because to me, the more I look on social media, the more hype that's getting put on the Patriots here, the more buy-in I see of guaranteeing AFC East title berths, all this other stuff about how great the Patriots are going to be now in 2020. You get a motivated Cam Newton, classic Bill Belichick. Can we pump the brakes a little bit? Can we slow the train down on Cam Newton being the difference maker in New England? Like I just said, he's an MVP less than 5 years ago. He shows a lot of talent. But what's the biggest thing with Cam Newton so far? It's been his health. And that's not the only question that I have as Cam Newton on, again, June 29th, or I guess technically June 28th, last night, signed to the Patriots. I'm very skeptical. I'm not buying into this signing at all as the Patriots all of a sudden now getting over the hump and being this legitimate contender in 2020. I still think Jarrett Stidham's going to start week 1. I will be honestly shocked if Cam Newton is the week 1 starter if the season starts on time. And there's a few reasons. Number one, I just mentioned it. Health is still a major question mark. Since they went to the Super Bowl in 2015 and since Cam Newton won the MVP in that same year, you have 4 years since that. Cam Newton has played a full 16-game season 1 time out of 4. So 3 of the last 4 years, Cam Newton has missed games. He's been on the shelf. He hasn't been able to play. Now, especially the last few years, there's been a lot, more serious injuries. Last year, he missed 14 games last year. Had the Liz Frank injury in his foot in the preseason. Baylor was able to hobble through 2 games, and they shut it down. He got surgery eventually, but he missed the last 14 games, Go back the year before that, in 2018, Panthers are 6-2, playing well, looking good. Cam Newton takes a big hit, hurts his shoulder, continues to play the rest of the year. It looks extremely ineffective. You can obviously tell the shoulder's hurting him. And it got so bad that the Panthers just sat Cam Newton down the last 2 games of the year, said, you know what, you're too banged up, you just can't play anymore. He missed the last 2 games of 2018. And you put the full context of Cam Newton's career since he came to the NFL in 2011. His body has taken a ton of abuse. He's had 2 shoulder surgeries. He's had foot surgery. He's had ankle surgery. He had a back vertebrae fracture, if you remember when he got in a car accident a few years ago. His body has taken a ton of punishment, a ton of hits. And for his style of quarterbacking, to where he's most effective when he's rolling out, using his legs, running with the ball, running over guys, fighting off tackles, keeping plays alive. That body can, no matter how big you are, no matter how strong you are, your body can only take so much abuse, so much pressure. And this is coming from someone, as a Colts fan, I've seen it firsthand. Andrew Luck, size-wise, is smaller than Cam Newton, but similar. Both solid, big linebacker types at quarterback. Andrew Luck, for the first few years of his career, would deliver hits, not take them. He'd be the guy where if he's running on 3rd down and he has to get the 1st down, he's lowering his shoulder and he's going to run over a linebacker, not vice versa. And it was awesome to watch. It was exciting to watch. He would take some massive hits in the pocket, bounce right back up. There's a ton of viral clips of Andrew Luck mic'd up, patting guys in the butt, patting guys in the helmet, saying, "Great hit, big boy," and just kind of, just being this crazy guy, right, where he just gets massively blown up. Hit that looks like you're not going to get up for days, and he bounces right back up, and it's complimenting the guy for a big hit. It was awesome to watch, and Cam Newton was the same guy. He would deliver punishment, not take it. And what happened, at least in terms of Andrew Luck, we will use him as the example right now. It got to a point where those hits eventually caught up to him. It got to the point where now injuries started mounting up. Those hits, those bumps, those bruises started taking their toll. And Andrew Luck not only missed a full year with a shoulder injury, the cumulative effect of having shoulder injuries, having a lacerated kidney, got to the point where Andrew Luck was so banged up, despite playing a full season in 2018, despite the success the Colts had, despite having one of the best offensive lines in NFL right in front of him in 2019. You know what took Andrew Luck's career down? Wasn't a shoulder injury, wasn't a concussion, wasn't another broken leg, serious injury that, we see derail a lot of careers. It was a calf injury. It was, in football terms, a very minor injury, a calf strain that Andrew Luck just couldn't figure out. The Colts doctors couldn't figure out. It bothered him for 8 or 9 months. Mostly in the offseason, he just couldn't rehab it, couldn't get it together. But I point that out is because those massive hits Andrew Luck took the first 2, 3, 4 years of his career, that sure, he didn't get hurt back then, he still bounced up. They took an effect to where 5, 6, 7 years later, Andrew Luck was feeling those effects in different ways, and it got to the point where a small calf injury was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the injury that said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Andrew Luck likes his, looked out for his future health. And I'm not trying to criticize Andrew Luck here at all. I am not. And I'm not trying to minimize the calf injury or any of the other injuries. I bring up Andrew Luck, especially as a Colts fan, as an example of these hits after a while catch up to you. You don't get less injury prone as your career goes on. So Cam Newton already having this all of this damage to his body in Carolina. Like I said, 2 shoulder surgeries, foot surgery, ankle surgery, back vertebrae fracture. That doesn't equate all of a sudden to now he's going to be healthy in New England. His style of play, his physicality, does not lend itself to him being healthy. Like I said, he missed 14 games last year. He's played 1 full season out of the last 4 years. So I'm not ready to crown the Patriots champions. I'm not ready to give them the AFC East title because I'm not even convinced Cam Newton can even take the field. He's 31 years old. Your health deteriorates as you get older. That's true in real life. That's true in the NFL especially. You know, you always have dog years, right? If a dog is 7 years old, they're really, 49 or 50 in human years, right? What is an NFL career shelf life like? What is Cam Newton in NFL years? He's 31 years old. He's had all of these injuries pile up. And now we're supposed to assume and think a guy who missed the last 14 games, almost hasn't played a game in a full calendar year, is going to step into New England and all of a sudden be healthy? I'm not convinced. That is just the first reason why I'm not ready to crown the Patriots anything. And I really don't change my outlook at all of their season 2 days ago when they didn't have Cam Newton to now when they do have Cam Newton. So I'm not even convinced. I'm not even 100% sure that Cam Newton is going to be healthy enough to even participate in training camp, let alone be a difference maker and stay healthy enough to be on the field. Think about it. If you look right now at every single NFL team and you look at their backup quarterback position, there is not one guy you can point to right now and say, you know what, that guy is more talented than Cam Newton. I'd rather have that guy on my team. Geno Smith is a backup in Seattle. You have Andy Dalton. We just hyped up the Andy Dalton, including myself here, signing by the Dallas Cowboys. The backup quarterback position is not one that is flooded with talent. And the reason I bring that up is because Cam Newton still has talent. We see how important the quarterback position is in the NFL. We see how the difference when you have a quarterback that can win you games versus you have a game manager, you have a guy who can't do it. Look at Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. That defense is elite. They have some good skill guys. Mitchell Trubisky can't figure it out. Thus, the Bears are struggling. The point is that the quarterback position is so important now. You need talent there more than anything else. That there are multiple teams, you can make the argument, any team in the league could have used Cam Newton at least as a backup. But yet, he went through free agency in March, he went through April, he went through May, and almost went through June without getting signed. And look at what he signed for. Essentially the minimum salary, just over $1 million. So it's risk-free from the Patriots, because if he gets hurt, fine. Barely is a blip on the radar. If he plays well, it's incentive-laden, so you'll pay him for the production. You give him a reason and motivation to be successful. But no other team did this, because the health is a major question mark. We have no clue what Cam Newton's body is, what his health is, if he's fully recovered, if he's 100% healthy. But let's, for my next example here, or my next point, let's just assume he's healthy, right? He's healthy enough to compete in training camp. He's healthy enough whenever training camp does start, if it starts on time or a little delayed, he's going to be on the field. He's going to be competing with Jarrett Stidham for the starting job. Concern here, and why I'm not ready to crown the Patriots any sort of champions anywhere, and let alone the AFC East, which is wide open, there's an extreme learning curve here. This is not an offense he's familiar with. This is not an offense that's used to having someone else run it. Think about it. He signed a month before training camp is supposed to start, assuming it starts on time. He's going to have zero chemistry with the wide receivers until the first day of training camp. He's not even going to be able to meet Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick in person until the first day of training camp. And looking at how the coronavirus has affected other sports so far, looking how the coronavirus is so far at least somewhat affecting the NFL, the two themes I think are going to be major for this upcoming NFL season are going to be continuity and familiarity. Right, as we see already, teams in the NFL Players Association is urging players don't practice with each other. Don't do it. You see Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay working out with Tampa Bay wide receivers, trying to get on the same page, trying to get some familiarity. See Russell Wilson holding workouts with some of his young wide receivers. They're trying to get on the same page now. So when the season starts, when training camp starts, if it's truncated, if there's less preseason games, they are still ready to hit the ground running by the time the regular season starts. But guess what? They are not allowed to do that. Tom Brady's breaking rules by practicing with the Buccaneers wide receivers. Their own Players Association is telling the players, don't practice with each other. We're trying to stay healthy enough for training camp. So Cam Newton, the best way, he's going to be able to learn the offense right now is over Zoom. He's not going to be able to talk with Julian Edelman or Jacoby Myers. A lot of these young wide receivers the Patriots have will have no familiarity, will not even know what a Cam Newton spiral looks like until they get on the practice field day one. That puts him behind the eight ball massively compared to when you look at his competition. Jarrett Stidham, like I said, the two themes, continuity, familiarity. Jarrett Stidham has both. He's on the team last year. He threw to a lot of those wide receivers because a lot of those wide receivers had to step up because of injuries. So they're familiar with his style. They're familiar with the way he throws the ball. Jarrett Stidham knows the offense. He knows Josh McDaniels. Cam Newton does not know anyone. So it's a lot to ask. It's a lot for me to assume that in, let's say, 2 months, right? Just about 2 months when the season starts in early September, if it starts on time, Cam Newton is going to have the offense down pat. He's going to be on the same page with the Patriots wide receivers, with the Patriots offense, and he's going to supplant all of that to supplant Jarrett Stidham as a starter for week 1. Speaking of which, let's take it a step further with the offense. Let's dive into the offense of the Patriots. This Patriots offense is not a quarterback away from being really good. Last year, right, 2019, we saw the Patriots offense really struggle at times, really look anemic, really struggle to move the ball down the field, really struggle to score. If you listen to the show, whether it's in October, November, December, even in the offseason when Tom Brady was deciding whether to stay in New England or go somewhere else, I defended Tom Brady. I advocated it wasn't Tom Brady's fault. He was working with a lot of young receivers that for the first time were playing with Tom Brady. They weren't on the same page because that offense with Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels was about being on the same page, reading the defenses, knowing if the defender is playing inside, I'm going to go outside and putting the ball on a spot. That's why Julian Edelman is so hard to cover because him and Tom Brady basically have the same brain. They think on the same wavelength. So they can make adjustments without even saying anything to each other. And now, you're still going to have all those inexperienced young wide receivers coming back. You're going to have an offensive line that's questionable, and if they can even keep Joe Thuney, their best offensive lineman, under contract, because right now with the franchise tag, that's a hefty coin the Patriots have to pay him. And not to mention, you look at Cam Newton's style of offense, you look how he flourishes, who he targets. For the last 6 years in Carolina, the leading receiver on the Panthers was Greg Olsen, a tight end. He was a safety blanket. He was his security blanket. He was his guy. If we need a big reception here, we need a first down, I'm going to Greg Olsen. Tom Brady was similar with Rob Gronkowski, right? That was the guy. You need a big play, I'm throwing it to the guy I trust, usually either Julian Edelman or Rob Gronkowski. Look at the Patriots roster. They don't have that. They don't have a Rob Gronkowski type. They don't have a Greg Olsen type that Cam Newton is familiar and comfortable throwing with. Their tight ends are Matt LaCosse, Ryan Izzo, and 4 other rookies. I'm sorry. I am not buying in. I don't think that is the recipe for success for Cam Newton or the Patriots, to be honest. So health, the extreme learning curve that Cam Newton's going to have to overcome trying to learn this in this intricate Josh McDaniels offense in a month before training camp starts without having the ability to even throw or talk to a receiver in person. Not to mention his health, if he can even stay in the field. I'm not convinced that even if he's healthy now, he'll be able to stay healthy through an entire season. Even if we give Cam Newton 100% health right now on June 29th, 2020, we get the doctors A-OK, his foot's healed, his shoulder's good, he can go on the field and compete, and there's nothing physically holding him back. I'm not convinced that Cam Newton can make it through an entire season. I'm not. So that's why I am not anywhere sold that Cam Newton will have an impact, let alone the Patriots now all of a sudden this big-time contender in the AFC. They're the third best team in the AFC behind the Chiefs and the Ravens. I'm not even convinced Cam Newton's going to make the team week 1 out of camp. I still believe Brian Hoyer was signed with a purpose, was signed with a reason. Bill Belichick loves familiarity. He loves guys he can count on and depend on. Brian Hoyer, because he's been with the Patriots on again, off again for it feels like a million years, he knows the Josh McDaniels offense, and if in a pinch, God forbid, whether Jarrett Stidham is a starter and gets hurt, whether Cam Newton is a starter that gets hurt, he knows if he puts Brian Hoyer in, all right, at least he knows what we're doing here. He's not going to be a chicken with his head cut off on the field. So I have a tough time looking at this Patriots team in 2020, looking at Brian Hoyer, Jarrett Stidham, and now Cam Newton on the roster. I don't believe they're going to have Jarrett Stidham and Cam Newton as the two quarterbacks going into week one with Brian Hoyer cut. I think they want someone as a backup that knows the system, that can step in if the worst case scenario happens and someone gets hurt. Just to know what the offense, how it's run, where the receiver is supposed to go, and at least have the knowledge back there that, okay, sure, he may not be talented, but he knows what to do. He knows where the ball is going. It's something. So I completely believe Jarrett Stidham will be the starter week one. If you go back to March 23rd, when Tom Brady made his decision to go to Tampa Bay, and that left a vacuum and a hole at the quarterback position for the Patriots, I said Jarrett Stidham is going to be the guy. He's going to be the starter week one. He's going to be the starter for 2020. So then on March 23rd, I still believe it today. But I love your thoughts. Because I'm curious. There was a lot of hype last night on social media that now the Patriots are all of a sudden these contenders, all of a sudden going to make some noise in the AFC. In your mind, is Cam Newton the difference in New England? You can comment on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You could tweet us if you're listening on Periscope on Twitter, WWSRN_radio. That's WWSRN_radio. Or if you want to go directly to the source. If you agree with me, if you're upset with me, you want to tweet at me directly, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3, Ryan_Hickey, and just the number 3 is my Twitter handle. If you want to direct your ire, direct your praise towards me, I will read it on the air. But we'd love to know your thoughts. Does a Cam Newton signing change your thoughts on the Patriots this year? Are the Patriots now contenders in the AFC? We'll get your thoughts. Love to hear them. As you can see, I am not on board at all. But we'll get your thoughts when we come back. And also when we come back, a quarterback is being possibly wasted. And a franchise elite, one of the best quarterbacks you've ever seen, is his career being wasted because they only won one Super Bowl? We'll tell you who it is. And if that's the case, when the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey, return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey. Ryan Hickey.
And welcome back into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys with Ryan Hickey right here on this Monday morning. A ton of different ways for you to watch, to listen, to interact with the show, as we do love always having your thoughts and your opinions voiced on the show. Love to always listen to them, hear them, and react to them. We're on Facebook at Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You type us in, throw us a like there. If you follow us on Twitter, WWSRN_radio. If you're more of an app person, right, which really, we are in 2020, everything's on an app. Everyone has an app, and that's really where it is. We also have an app recently, brand new, WWSRN, if you have an iPhone or if you're on Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. That is all the spots, all the locations, whether on Twitch, also on radio.com, on TuneIn. We are all over the digital map, all over the digital streaming airwaves, if you want to say. And we do appreciate you tuning in wherever you are, whatever device you're listening to, however long you tune in. We always appreciate your listenership. Makes the show a lot better when we hear from you and you give your thoughts and opinions as well. As speaking of opinions, speaking of thoughts, Cam Newton, as we started the show with, is now a New England Patriot. A lot of praise, a lot of hype, a lot of projected success now to the New England Patriots because Cam Newton is a part of the Patriots. But I'm trying to pump the brakes here. I'm kind of cool the jets because I'm not sold at all. Health is still a major question mark. The learning curve is going to be just incredibly hard. He has to learn an entire offense, trying to build chemistry with receivers he's never thrown to and won't have the chance to until training camp. Not to mention the offense is not exactly, world beater. Not exactly glistening and gleaming with tons of weapons for Cam Newton to throw to. So I'm skeptical, to say the least, of Cam Newton's impact. So I think Jarrett Stidham is going to be the starter week one whenever the season does start and whenever the season does roll around. But maybe you feel different. Maybe you're bullish on Cam Newton going to the Patriots and you're all of a sudden now buying some stock into the Patriots. I'd love to get your thoughts. I said Facebook, Worldwide Sports on Air, Twitter, tweet at me. Let me know, reach out, and we will get your thoughts on Cam Newton going to the Patriots and what kind of impact he'll actually have there as a member now of the Evil Empire, if you want to say. Also want to get into, because now, talked about one quarterback, right, trying to make an impact. Another quarterback, his impact, if you want to say, is now being questioned as well. And Brandon Marshall, former NFL receiver, played with the Jets, played with the Broncos. He bets around the league a few times, but he is very opinionated, not afraid to share it. And he was on Colin Cowherd's show on Thursday, and the discussion of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay came up. And specifically, he was asked about, what do you think of the Packers drafting Jordan Love and then drafting A.J. Dillon, really two positions the Packers did not need. They made it to an AFC title game last year. We thought, us NFL fans, us who watched the Packers this year, thought, all right, they could use really another big-time receiver. Devontae Adams is great. Really, outside of him, the wide receiver room really dropped off talent-wise. They may get another receiver, maybe bolster the defense a little bit. They can be pretty good. They'll be right back in the playoff contention next year. Maybe be Super Bowl contenders. Because I just still think a lot of us think Aaron Rodgers, maybe not at the peak of his career, still has a lot of talent left, still has a lot of game left, and he still is capable of winning a Super Bowl. But Brandon Marshall already kind of closed the book on Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and really claimed that the Packers themselves wasted Aaron Rodgers' career. I want you to hear this, and we'll get your thoughts after, but this is Aaron Rodgers, and this is Brandon Marshall, on Colin Cowherd's show saying the Packers wasted Aaron Rodgers.
Come on, man. They should have won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. To me, Aaron Rodgers is my favorite quarterback in the NFL. But you wasted this guy's career. You got 1 Super Bowl out of Aaron Rodgers? Are you kidding me? It's too late. It's too late.
So as you can see, very strong words there for Brandon Marshall, wasting Aaron Rodgers' career. And too, when I hear that, hear that him say that, and then I think about it, really what it means to waste someone's career. There's a massive difference between actually wasting someone's career and just not winning. What happened with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, to me, I chalk it up to more for them just not winning, not getting over the hump, more than wasting Aaron Rodgers' career. I think we all agree, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Just pure talent-wise. Not winning, not savviness in the game, just pure talent. One of, if not the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. But to me, what this highlights of him winning one Super Bowl with the Packers, going to only one Super Bowl with the Packers appearance-wise, this just proves how hard it is to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. This also should be used to highlight how incredible the Patriots dynasty for 2 decades was. The Patriots made it look easy winning 6 Super Bowls. I think what happened to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay is a perfect example on the other side to just really kind of bring you down and say it's super hard to win a Super Bowl. Because not only does it take a transcendent quarterback, a transcendent player at the quarterback position, which the Packers have. They've really had for, almost 3 decades now, going back to Brett Favre. But the question isn't just, or the missing piece for the Packers for winning more Super Bowls isn't that they don't have the quarterback to do so. Because on top of having a quarterback that is able to get you there, there are 2 other factors that really, for the most part, teams can't control that really have a massive impact one way or another on if you will win a Super Bowl or not. That is luck, and that is health. I'll give you a few examples specifically for the Packers to show you nothing was wasted here with Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. Luck. I'll give you a luck example. Back in 2015, the NFC title game, you had the Packers in Seattle going against the Seahawks. Seahawks trying to get to their 2nd straight Super Bowl, which I always said they did. They played the Patriots, and as we know what happened. Packers were up 19-7 in that game with just 4 minutes left. Up by 2 scores, 4 minutes left. The Seahawks offense is sputtering. Russell Wilson can't get anything going. 4 minutes left of the game. You think this game's over. Seahawks score a touchdown. Okay, fine. You still have to get an onside kick. One of the most unlikely plays in all of the NFL. Look at percentage-wise, it's especially now with the new rules, it's almost impossible to recover an onside kick. The name Brandon Bostic sounds familiar. It's for one reason. Because that onside kick I just talked about how hard it is to get. That onside kick that is not very successful, the percentage chance of you actually recovering it is very slim. Brandon Bostic had the ball when it was kicked right in his stomach, right in his hands. He dropped it. He lost it. Guess what happened? The Seahawks recovered. From there, they scored a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, what does he do? Valiantly leads the Packers down the field, kicks a field goal to tie the game, goes to overtime. As we know, Seahawks win the toss, so they get the ball. Russell Wilson, deep bomb to Doug Baldwin, caught it, touchdown, game over. Brandon Bostic catches that ball. A little luck. That has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. He catches the ball and just falls to the ground. The Packers are going to the Super Bowl back in 2014, not the Seahawks. Luck is involved. Luck is a real thing. Sometimes it can be the reason why you go to a Super Bowl or not. Because when you have 2 talented teams, the difference between the two, the thing that makes a difference is very slight. It could be one play, one bounce of the ball. In this case, the bounce of the ball benefited the Seahawks more than it did the Packers. Injuries. Like I said, luck is also, not just luck, health is also a major factor. For the most part, the healthiest team at the end of the year wins the Super Bowl. If you have the most talented players that are healthy on your team compared to the other team, you're going to win more times than not. Let's go back to 2017, 2 years after that Seahawks debacle. The Packers were again in the NFC title game. This time they played the Falcons. If you remember that game, the Packers barely had enough players to finish the game. They were so ravaged by injury, Mike McCarthy pulled Aaron Rodgers from the game late in the 4th quarter because he was worried he was going to get severely hurt for next year. You had offensive linemen going down. You had Jordy Nelson barely even able to walk before the game. He's continually banged up, had rib injuries. He was barely being able to play in the playoffs. Again, hanging on by a thread. You had the receivers basically, barely able to just run. So injuries ravaged completely that 2017 NFC title game. The Falcons blow out the Packers, go on to the Super Bowl, and as we know what happened with the Falcons. So not winning more than one Super Bowl, not even going to more than one Super Bowl with one of the most talented quarterbacks on your team in the NFL doesn't mean a career's been wasted. Doesn't mean it's a direct indictment on the Packers for not doing all the best they possibly could to give Aaron Rodgers the best chance to go to the Super Bowl. Let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have gone to 4 conference championship games. They've had talent on their team. They've been good enough to get right to the edge. They got right to the brink 3 of those times they weren't able to get over the hump. When I hear wasting a career, when I see someone saying that this team wasted this guy's career, you know what I think of? You know what to me equates to wasting someone's career? Is when you blatantly hurt the team's chances of winning or the player's chances of success by not giving him the proper tools and basically flat out ignoring their needs by saying, oh, you're good enough, you can do okay with this. The perfect example of that is this latest draft by the Packers. The Packers desperately needed a second wide receiver to go along with Devonta Adams. They were severely outmanned, severely outgassed in the NFC title game against the 49ers. It really wasn't even a game. So they needed help on offense, and more importantly, they needed run help on defense. They needed some legitimate pieces, not many, but some legitimate pieces at certain spots, and I think everyone would have been, okay, the Packers are right back in contention. Packers are right back up there in 2020 when it comes to teams competing for a Super Bowl. Instead, essentially what the Packers did was wave the white flag, signal the end of the Aaron Rodgers era, and already start looking to the future. Drafting Jordan Love, trading up to draft Jordan Love in the first round, and then drafting a running back in the second round when they already have a good running back in Aaron Jones. The 2 positions in offense the Packers did not need, they addressed with their first 2 picks in the NFL draft this year. That is wasting someone's career if that was a pattern throughout Aaron Rodgers' time in Green Bay. If they continually did this year in and year out, looking at the need they have, looking at a free agency filled with receivers, looking at an NFL draft that was lauded with how deep the wide receiver class is, and you don't pick one. That is wasting someone's career. But this happened 1 year. If this was a pattern throughout the entire tenure of the Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay, we'd have a different conversation. Because it's happening now towards the tail end, where now it feels like the Packers are trying to rush Aaron Rodgers out and get on with the future, they're ready to move on. They're not wasting his career. Think about this. Only twice in Aaron Rodgers' time as a starter in Green Bay did the Packers not have either a Pro Bowl skill position player or a 1,000-yard receiver. 2012 and 2015 were the 2 times where the Packers on offense, outside of Aaron Rodgers, didn't have a Pro Bowl skill position, running back, tight end, wide receiver, or a receiver that had a 1,000-yard season. So they've had talent around Aaron Rodgers. They've had good players for him to throw to, good players for him to hand the ball off to. It's not like Aaron Rodgers is just doing this on his own by himself for basically his entire career. So just winning or going to one Super Bowl doesn't equate to or automatically mean that the Packers have wasted his career. Because guess what? You look around the NFL right now. You look at Russell Wilson in Seattle. You look at Drew Brees in New Orleans. You look at Dan Marino when he was with the Dolphins. You look at Peyton Manning specifically with his time with the Colts. If you think Aaron Rodgers' career was wasted in Green Bay, you have to also say that Russell Wilson, Brees, Marino, Manning, all their careers are wasted in their respective cities. Because all of them either have won Super Bowl, like Wilson, Brees, and Manning in specific cities, speaking of just looking at Peyton Manning only in Indianapolis, or none like Dan Marino. But I don't think right now anyone is going to say that the Saints wasted Drew Brees' career. If anything, you can make the argument Russell Wilson's career has been wasted a little bit, because for the most part, their offense always kind of hamstrung Russell Wilson. They never really gave him, outside of the last year or two, legitimate weapons to throw to. His offensive line was horrendous. But just because they have one Super Bowl under their belt doesn't mean that they didn't try all their best to actually win. We talk about luck. I'll use Drew Brees as a quick example here before I wrap up. You talk about what I said, needing luck, needing health, outside of just having a very talented quarterback to win a Super Bowl. 2019 NFC title game, you obviously had that missed pass interference call. If the Saints get that call, they probably win and go to the Super Bowl. 2018 NFC divisional round, you have the Minneapolis Miracle, a miracle, literally a miracle. Case Keenum throws it up. Stephon Diggs makes the catch. Defensive back for the Saints misses the tackle. Next thing you know, as we know, Vikings run it in as the clock expires, touchdown, game over. There's a lot of luck. There's a lot of health that goes into winning a Super Bowl, not just having the best quarterback at the position. For the entire career, I felt that the Packers have put Aaron Rodgers and the team in positions to succeed, in positions to be successful. Hence why they went to 4 NFC title games. So just because they haven't been able to get over the hump, just because they haven't been able to even get to 1 Super Bowl, let alone win more than 1 Super Bowl, doesn't mean his career's been wasted. It just highlights, it points to the fact that winning a Super Bowl is hard. It's not supposed to be easy. You have guys like Tom Brady, you have guys like Joe Montana, you have guys like Michael Jordan who make it look easy. Yes, we idolize them, we praise them because they continually did it time in and time out, and they were so good at their respective jobs, they made it seem like it's easy. How come Michael Jordan wins a title every year? How come my guy can't do that? Because it's freaking hard. Especially in the NFL, when there's salary cap to worry about, when there's all this roster turnover, when they schedule on purpose to create parity. The NFL doesn't want dynasties forming. So they continue to schedule teams that play well and win the division. They always schedule them against division winners. Winning is hard, man. So if anything, there is, to me, no way the Packers wasted Aaron Rodgers' career. It highlights how hard it is to win a Super Bowl and other factors that go into it outside of just having the transcendent quarterback. So I disagree with Brandon Marshall. I really, outside of this past draft, take that away. There's no defending that, and myself and a lot of other people just crushed the Packers when it came out of the draft that Monday after the draft is over. The Packers have continually put Aaron Rodgers in a position to succeed. They put weapons around him. They haven't tanked the offense. They haven't neglected the offense and not given Rodgers the help he needs. So I'm curious, do you think the Packers wasted Aaron Rodgers' career? Like I said, one of the most talented, if not the most talented quarterback to ever play the position, has 1 Super Bowl ring, 1 Super Bowl appearance. Should they have won more than 1 Super Bowl? And is there another quarterback who you think their career has been wasted? If you hear Brandon Marshall's definition of wasted, is Russell Wilson's career in Seattle wasted? Is there another quarterback you think their career has been wasted? So get your thoughts when we come back here on the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey, and also when we come back, it's not too late for the NBA to reconsider their return to play format in Orlando. Less teams, the better explain why. When the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
A ton of NFL quarterback discussion as we start up this Monday show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Saw the Cam Newton skepticism that goes along with him signing with the Patriots, and now Aaron Rodgers discussing whether his career has actually been wasted by the Packers because they've only won one title. They've only been to one Super Bowl, despite, again, having one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the position on their team for a good amount of time. So we'll get your thoughts. Is Aaron Rodgers' career wasted? Are you buying into the Patriots at all? Does your view on the Patriots change now that they signed Cam Newton last night? Excuse me. Oh, there we go. And so we'll get your thoughts on that. We still have college football top of the hour. Why a spring season would be the most normal for college football in 2020, or I guess at that point, 2021. 2020 apocalypse, as we know, we'll explain the playoff rules that will be coming up in a little bit here. And finally, to end the show, the New York Knicks. There's a direction out there for them to chase. There's a direction out there for them to pursue that could hopefully change the fortunes for the better. Explain what that direction is and which head coach would be perfect for the Knicks to end the show at 10:40, just about a little less than an hour from now. We'll get into that. But I do want to get into the NBA here. They are still going to go up to, the Orlando plan, their return to play starting July 30th. Their plan with 22 teams is still ready to go, full set, full steam ahead. Schedule was released last Friday, so now we know some of the matchups. We know each schedule the teams, all 22 teams will play to get either the seeding correct or to have some of these teams outside of the playoffs to try to get them into the playoff format. And now at least the NBA really starting to kind of get the wheels churning. Most players have returned to their home markets, starting to get some individual workouts. And now, as we get closer, those practices, those team practices will become more, and they will start to head down to Orlando soon. But Adam Silver had a press conference on Friday night or Friday afternoon, kind of discussing full steam ahead the NBA's thoughts with the coronavirus increasing in Orlando and his optimism or skepticism that a season can be completed with the format they have. And he said something I want to get to in a little bit here. But before I do, I want to give you the overall thought is that the NBA should still, despite being a month away, right? The season starts on July 30th is when game starts. We are a month and a day away from that. It's still not too late. They absolutely should reconsider their return to play plan, just team-wise. I think the bubble is a good idea for the most part. I think the way that they're formatting everything down there logistically is fine. The only thing I would change, less teams. I think it's still smart, and it's not too late to only bring the playoff teams down to Orlando, bring 16 teams, 8 from the East, 8 from the West, and just start the playoffs down in Orlando whenever the season starts on July 30th. If you want to push back a few weeks, fine. There's a few reasons why I think they would be smart and it would be the best thing to do to ensure a full playoff slate is played if they only bring 16 teams down to Orlando. Number one, you have meaningless games equals disinterested players equals danger. And this is what I mean by that. You're going to have teams down there like the Suns and the Wizards who, by my standards, by a lot of NBA analyst standards, basically have no shot. The Wizards are 5.5 games behind the Magic. The Suns are 6 games out. And not only are they 6 games out of the playoffs, they have to jump 4 teams just to have a chance to get into the play-in tournament. So they essentially, you lose 1 or 2 games, your season's over. So now the NBA risks, if the Wizards start out 0-2 or 1-2, the Suns start out 1-2, 0-2, they have nothing to play for. Their season's over. So not only is that a bad product on the court when you have one team that could care less, playing out the string, ready to get home, just bad to watch, right? From me and you want to watch a competitive game. We watch for the competitiveness. You don't want to see a Suns Jazz game where the Jazz are up by 30 in the second quarter because basically the Suns are just going through the motions. And not only is it just a bad visual on the court when you watch teams that just don't care, it also puts the players in danger. And here's what I mean by that. This Orlando bubble, this Orlando plan, it requires a strict buy-in from the players. There is a ton of rules, a ton of regulations. They send out a 113-page manual explaining how players are supposed to stay safe, how they're supposed to act in Orlando, including having the possibility to wear bands that track if you are within 6 feet of someone and having an alarm go off. You're going to have an anonymous hotline where players can essentially snitch at each other saying, hey, look, this guy's not being social distant. This guy's sneaking out. You need a buy-in, a real buy-in to the fact that you can't even go into another player's room. Each player's their own room. You're not allowed as a teammate to go into another room. You have to stay everywhere. The rooms are off limits. This is a strict buy-in. So if you're a player on the Suns or the Wizards or the Kings, let's say, your season's over 2 or 3 games in. Now you're still here for another week and a half or 2 weeks to play out the string of games. Are you really going to be all in? Are you really going to be following the rules of the bubble to a T? Because guess what? I feel like it's harder, knowing you're eliminated, knowing you're going home soon, to still continue to the strict rules, to still be engaged, and not put yourself and other players at risk by leaving the bubble. I think it's tougher to keep players in the bubble. I really do. So not only does meaningless games equal disinterested players, which could put other players in danger, because again, if you're lax with the social distancing rules, if you're lax with the bubble, you could potentially bring something in and affect everyone else who's doing the right thing. Let's look at Orlando. Speaking of the coronavirus, I mean, their positive test rate is just exploding, and it's not settling. It's not something to look at. It's okay. We're doing pretty good there. Sam Amick, who does tremendous, incredible work at The Athletic, talked with 10 anonymous general managers. All 10 of those general managers have a team that's going to be in the restart. So all 10 GMs are going to be involved going down to Orlando and having their teams play. Their biggest concern is that they see the increase in tests, positive tests in Orange County, which is where that's the county Disney is located. But this is important to also point out. This article was written last Wednesday. At this point, they were concerned about the tests that were 3,000 a day, 4,000 a day, 5,000 a day. Well, if you look at the news, if you see the numbers in Florida and Orange County, they are exploding. There's at least 5,000 positive tests every day since last Wednesday. Since that article was put out, at least 5,000, and you had 9,000 over the weekend a day. There's currently 9,600 cases of coronavirus in Orange County where Disney is. And this is the quote I want to read you that Adam Silver said on Friday during his teleconference that I think should highlight the fact that they have to bring less teams to Orlando. He said, quote, "We are left in no choice but to live with this virus. No options are risk-free right now," end quote. So he's admitting the virus is around us. We can't avoid it. We can't do anything that's going to totally and completely eliminate the virus. We just have to hope and pray that we do the best we can to mitigate our players being exposed to it. Well, Adam, guess what, man? The more players that are down there, the greater chance that one of them is open to wow, I'm just blanking on the word. All the momentum I just lost. Susceptible for infection. The more of a chance that a player sees the infection, sees the virus, and gets infected and spreads it. Sorry about that. Just a complete brain fart. Less teams. Instead of 16 teams, you bring instead of 22 teams, you bring 16 teams. Less players, less staff, less personnel that have the chance of catching the virus and spreading it. Less players, the better, which is why I'm down for 16 over 22, because as Adam Silver said, we have no choice but to live with the virus. Might as well mitigate and lessen the risk as much as possible. And these players are exposed. That's the word I was looking for. These players are exposed to the virus. And finally, another point that Amick hit when he was talking with these 10 GMs in his Athletic article last week, I think is actually something overlooked, but that could increase the competitiveness on the court, is that on top of the coronavirus, obviously concerned, right, the massive concerns that are going on in Florida right now, the GMs are also concerned about the quality of life, that because the players won't be with their families, the players won't be with their friends for at least almost a month. They're worried that could lead to bad play, to players not being focused, and could lead to sloppy play on the court. Because right now, the plan for the NBA is they're not going to allow families into Orlando until after the first round of the playoffs. So when there's 8 teams left, we're with 22, when there's 8 teams left, that's when families will be able to go down to Orlando, hang out with the players, and basically be down there with them. But what Amick and these GMs pointed out is that you bring less teams. Instead of 22 teams, you bring 16 teams. All of a sudden now, you can bring families maybe down there even sooner or even to start. So if that happens, all of a sudden now, that could lead to better morale. Because right now, it's going to be about 7 weeks by the time the players initially get down to Orlando to when they, either the team is eliminated and they go home, or the team moves on and their families can come down after the first round of the playoffs. It's about 7 weeks before 16 of the 22 teams can see their families one way or another. It's almost 2 months. That's a long time to ask players, staff, personnel to not see their families. So now if you could bring families down there earlier, if you can, give players something to look forward to and not have it be 7 weeks, maybe be 4 weeks, maybe even be 3 weeks with less teams, it could provide a better morale boost, lead to better play in the court because now they're more focused. They're not as maybe sad or depressed if they're not, almost by themselves. That's why I think it would make the most sense for the NBA, change their plan, change the direction. It's not too late. Only bring 16 teams down to Orlando. It'd be safer. It would keep the players more engaged. And I think it would lead to better product on the court, which would be a win-win for me, you, for them, for everyone involved. So let's get your thoughts. Should the NBA reconsider? Bring less teams. It's 16 teams. Is it not too late to bring 16 teams down there? You think that would be the best plan? Or do you see, now that the schedule is released, now that the NBA is a month away, do you like the 22-team plan? Do you have no problem with the way they're going about resuming the season this year? So we'll get your thoughts on the NBA. And when we come back, college football. Is the spring the only hope for college football to have a somewhat normal 2020 season? We'll get to that when we come back on the Morning Boys. Ryan Hickey right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
We are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. A lot of football talk to start. We will get your thoughts here in a little bit. I see some comments on Facebook that are very interesting, both on Cam Newton going to New England and the NBA. Should they bring less teams down to Orlando? Are they making a big risk and a big mistake by bringing 22 teams down instead of maybe bringing 16 teams down? Just laid out why. It would be aesthetically pleasing, be better competition on the court, bring more families down there, less of a risk for players getting exposed to the virus. I think it's all a bonus that would be safer and smarter for the NBA to do. But obviously we'll see. So far, at least, they are going to keep going out with 22 teams. I think it would be smart, and it's not too late for them to readjust and go just 16. I do want to get to this college football story and this thought here, as we do have 2020 Apocalypse coming up here soon. And that is, I read an article from Pete Thamel, a great Yahoo Sports college reporter. He wrote an article on Thursday, and he spoke with 3 current Power 5 coaches from college football, all basically questioning how they're going to play football this fall. And reading that article, kind of looking at what's going on currently in the college football landscape. To me, it makes more and more sense now, and it feels like it's really inevitable at this point. If college football wants to have a normal season, close to full capacity in the stands, games not canceled because of players getting sick, and have a full schedule, right? That's not interrupted. Doesn't have to be worried, again, about having extra weeks in there in case players get sick, or juggle the schedule because teams are dropping out at the last minute. It seems the best way to have as close to a normal college football schedule as we know it would be to play football, move the season to the spring. And here's why I think that way. Number one, there's just more certainty about the virus in the spring, right? So far as we know, as we've heard, everything's changing because we're all learning about this. It's a novel virus. We haven't really dealt with the coronavirus before. We're learning how it works, learning how it impacts, we're learning how to mitigate the spread. But the two things that we really kept hearing from a lot of health officials that really haven't changed for the most part is that the virus is going to go down in the summer and we're going to have a second wave coming in the fall. Well, so far in the summer, and again, we're at the halfway point here heading to July 4th. We just saw this past week, in the past 2 weeks, the virus is spiking in a ton of southern states despite the summer heat that's supposed to lessen the virus. So we're continuing to see spikes in SEC country and Big 12 country. But for the most part, what we kept hearing was going to happen was that a second wave was going to come in the fall. And for the most part, the coronavirus is going to settle down in the summer. It doesn't really do well in the heat. But right now, as we see, it's doing pretty well in the heat in the south. It's still continuing to spread. So we'll have more information about the virus in the spring because we'll have another 6 months or so to learn about it, to see how we can mitigate it and try to slow down the spread. Not to mention, currently right now, you look at what college football teams are doing. Right now, they're slowly bringing back, if not already have, their athletes back on campus, and what they're doing is individual workouts. So players will go to the gym. It's still the social distancing rules apply, so you can't have more than 10 players in the gym at the same time. They're all spread out. Everything's getting wiped down. So for the most part, a lot of these colleges are taking the correct and proper precautions of having their players on campus, trying to keep them safe. Guess what, though? Despite these precautions, despite the social distancing, despite wiping down the gym after every time someone comes in, teams still can't even keep their players safe. Clemson, after another week of spiked cases with their football players, currently right now have 37 coronavirus cases on their football team. A third of their team is sick. Think about that. Clemson. Third of the team has the virus. Kansas State, 14 cases. Houston and Boise State both had to suspend their summer workouts because players were getting sick. And you have players at LSU, Texas, Texas A&M. All these players are getting sick, getting quarantined. So I'll ask you this. If this is happening now, if this is happening at major college programs now where Clemson, LSU, Texas, Texas A&M, Kansas State, Boise State, if they can't keep their players healthy now, when social distancing, the weight room is being respected, when it's only them on campus, and everything's getting wiped down in between, how are they supposed to keep players safe and healthy once practices get going, once students return to campus? How are the cases not only going to stay the same, but go down? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So the fact that right now schools are struggling to keep players healthy in the summer is more the reason why I would try to push to the spring, because it doesn't seem at all convincing that these schools and these players will be able to combat and stay healthy from the virus as the fall and a second wave comes. As we've heard, as we hope, Dr. Fauci talked about this last week, the possibility of a vaccine. He is hoping at the end of this year, or 2020, or early in 2021. So the possibility of a vaccine being created and being distributed is greater in the spring than it is right now, which obviously would be great. Keep players healthy, keep fans healthy, and at least now, try to lessen the spread, try to keep players healthy as possible. So the possibility of a vaccine is greater in the spring. We'll have more information about the virus in the spring. Not to mention, let's look at the landscape of of sports right now trying to resume. The NBA is going to have a bubble as close to a hermetically sealed bubble as possible in Orlando. NHL is going to have hub cities where they're going to mirror the same sort of idea as a bubble in Orlando, but do it in multiple cities. The MLB is going to, while they're still flying and still traveling, have all these different rules about spitting, about high fives, about being socially distant in the dugout. All these leagues are trying to create as close to a bubble as possible for these players not to get sick. But guess what college football and college sports especially can't do that these professional sports leagues can do? College football especially cannot create a bubble. And on top of that, not only can they not create a bubble, they're going to have most of these campuses back with students in the fall. So if anything, the closest thing to a bubble that college football will ever have is right now. Because right now, the only the only students that are back on campus are student athletes. Football players, soccer players, basketball players. That's it. Those are the only ones currently on college campuses across the country. But right now, if they can't even stay healthy, if this is the closest thing to a bubble, and they still to this day have infections going through LSU, going through Texas, going through Clemson, how are you supposed to keep players healthy and virus-free when they're going to attend classes in the fall? We're going to have students back on campus, and most of these universities, thousands, tens of thousands of students back on campus. How are you going to do it? So if anything, moving to the spring is a benefit because now you see how leagues, you see how MLB, you will see how the NBA, you'll see how the NHL, and more importantly, more relevantly, you'll see how the NFL, if they continue their course and continue to try to play football in the fall, you will use those teams and those leagues as a case study to see what they did wrong, what they did right. Use that for the spring to try to keep your athletes as safe as possible and try to keep your season as normal as possible. Learn from their mistakes because right now we're all blind. We have no clue if sports and the virus can honestly coexist. Baseball's going to try, basketball's going to try, hockey's going to try. We have no clue. You have Dr. Fauci advising baseball, which is the most socially distant team sport you can have, to not play in October. So if you have Dr. Fauci saying, don't play in October, you have the MLB owner saying, listen, we're ending the season on September 27th. No matter what, we are not pushing it back. We want to get the season in. We're not taking a risk. If baseball can't go play in October, how is football going to play in October? How is a college football or NFL season going to get played in full in October and November and December and have the playoff games in January? I have no clue. It doesn't seem feasible with what we know right now on June 29th. It does not seem feasible. It does not make any sense about how college football or the NFL, but especially college football, because it's a little bit different, will be able to safely get through a 2020 season with players not getting sick and not having the season canceled. Not to mention quickly, more money can be earned in the spring. Because guess what? If there's a vaccine out, if we know more about the virus in the spring compared to the fall, at best case scenario in the fall, you're going to have half capacity for these stadiums, and I find even that 50,000 fans at half capacity, I find that really a pipe dream. But if you wait to the spring, better chance of having full or capacity crowds because there's a vaccine out. If we know more about the virus, it's just a better chance that you can have filled up stadiums, which means more money for these universities. Also, less chance of games getting canceled if you can keep players healthy. Again, if we know about the virus, if we know the different ways we see how these leagues resume and try to keep them safe, less games canceled, which means more money for these teams, more money for these schools, and a better viewing experience. College football is all about the atmosphere. It's all about the pomp and circumstance. If you can have a full crowd, full stadium, it's just a better viewing experience compared to watching, the NBA with no fans. So I'm curious. Would a spring football season, in your mind, make sense? Is this the best way? Is this the only way college football can have a normal season as we know it? By pushing it back and playing in the spring. Either whether you start in January or you want to start after the Super Bowl in February. I think it's the only way. I think it's the best way for college football to keep things normal, keep things on schedule, and keep players safe and keep the league from not getting shut down. That's my thoughts. I'd love to get yours, again, on Facebook, on Twitter. Would a college football season in the spring be the closest thing to normal we will see? We'll get your thoughts when we come back. The fastest growing game show in America, 2020 or Apocalypse. Will we get the elusive 5 out of 5 perfect score? We will find out when we come back next, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Wide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless It's at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Cold Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
The sweet, sweet, sweet game show music, and that means it is time for the one, the only 2020 or Apocalypse, the fastest growing game show in all of North America. It is a ton of fun, a lot of laughs here, and I'm very excited for our next contestant. A great friend of mine, a lifelong friend of mine, whose dedication to the show is so much so that he is currently holding up the entire course at Tim Report right now, holding up at tea time so he can get a part of the game and be a part of the game. So let's go right out to him, waste no more time. The great Rob Young, live from the course, is on 2020 Apocalypse. What's up, Robbie? God, this is unbelievable. He dropped again. I don't know what it is with these folks. Everyone's dropping here. Let's see if we can get him on the line really quick. Let's see. We're going to do this live. This is live, folks. This is live radio.
Hello?
Yo, Bobby, what's up?
How we doing?
Good, man. You got me nervous there. I gave you this great intro. You're holding up everyone on Tim Report right now. Your dedication is outstanding. And then here's Bobby. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think we got disconnected when I went on hold. I know you have your soundboard and everything, and I was hyped that I was going to be on it, and then you lost me. It might be the service out here. We are out by the water.
I'll probably take the blame. You're not the first person that's happened to. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. I thought I was just scaring everyone away, but you are definitely not the first person that's happened to. But like I said, on the course, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes here. Very excited. So 2020 or Apocalypse. I'll give you 5 headlines, and you have to say whether this has actually happened in 2020, this is real, or this is fake. No way, this only happens if the apocalypse was going on. The best score right now is 4-5. So no one's gotten a perfect score. And how it works is, so we're going to have the top 2 finishers. We have a ton of people in first, ton of people in second. We're going to have a playoff. So if you can get at least 3 out of 5 or better, you'll guarantee yourself a golden ticket into the playoff. Does that sound good to you?
All right, I think I can handle it. A little above 500. I think that's the goal here.
All right, that's true. That's right. 3 out of 5. You get a little above 500, and you are in the money. You're doing good. So let's get right to it, Bobby. Number 1, the newest breakfast for one athlete is eating just a jar of dead bees. Is this real 2020 or just only happen in the apocalypse? Is dead bees the new breakfast of champions?
All right, so I was thinking this through before I called in, and I figured the ones that really don't sound real have to be the 2020 ones. It's a little bit like the, it's a little bit like what you think it is isn't, and what isn't probably is. So that's a weird headline. I know 2020 we're big into health. I'm not sure what the nutritional impact is of eating dead bees, but I'm going to go that's a real 2020 headline. Final answer.
That is real. And
Yes.
who ate it? I thought you'd get this one. Conor McGregor was the one who put it on his Instagram that he is eating and snacking on literally just a jar full of dead bees. Interesting philosophy, Bobby. You might be onto something. My former roommate, Cody, had the same philosophy as you, and he did 4 to 5. So let's just say he did pretty well. You ready
All
for
right,
it?
that's what I like to hear. 1 for 1. Hopefully
One
it's
for
not.
one.
I'm hoping I didn't peak too early.
Woof. Hey, listen, you were out of the gate strong, a strong start. Love it. You ready for number 2?
Let's do it.
A porn star was arrested after a man died in his house after inhaling the venom of a North American toad as part of a calming ritual. Is this real? Happened in 2020. A porn star is under arrest for killing someone with the venom of a North American toad? Or is this only what happened in the apocalypse? No way, this is actually a real story.
So let me think this through again. So Mia Khalifa has been dominating the porn star headlines. So this could have easily been under wraps as, a trending topic on Twitter. So easily could have been missed. It's a little long to be a 2020 headline. That was a mouthful. It sounded like an essay. I'm going to go apocalypse. It's not a real headline.
That is real, Bobby. That is real. Spanish porn star. Have you ever heard of Nacho Vidal?
No, not in my recent history.
Oh, okay. Oh. Well, maybe if you want to do a little research when you get home. Nacho did, yes. He had someone over. They inhaled the venom of a North American toad, and unfortunately, the person kicked the can. But
That is wild. I really want to, after this, I might have to talk to you and just find out where your sources are for these headlines.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I got to say you do. I can't give if you're in the playoff, I can't give my sources yet. I do. I'll say this. I have one dominant place that got a lot of headlines. That's all. That's I'll throw it out there. That's the tease.
Okay.
But I'm, I should say, before going any further, you're a man of content yourself. You're in the content factory yourself. Big podcast dropped last night, coast to coast. It's on, first of all, it's on all platforms, correct?
That is correct. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. It's, as you said, coast to coast. And you can also give us a follow on the Instagram and Twitter at coast2 coast_pod. We try to deliver content once a week. We talk about kind of current trends, current topics, have some fun with it. And you were a guest once upon a time back when we were actually doing fantasy football.
I was going to say that it started as a fantasy football podcast. Obviously, no fantasy football to talk about now, so it's a life podcast. I love it. So what was you dropped an episode late last night, Bobby. What's on the new pod? What do you guys talk about?
So we get into some of the Bubba Wallace incident. We talk about Cam Newton to the Patriots, which is absolute wild. Absolutely wild to see that. And then we actually have on Elizabeth Banks. She's talking about she does some great work with Local Impact OT. And we actually play a game of Would You Rather. So, like you said, keep it light, keep it fun. And it's definitely good content, usually 30, 40 minutes. It's a quick listen. And, definitely appreciate you giving me the plug on your show.
Oh, of course, man. Coast, the #2 Coast pod. It's a ton of fun to listen to. And that's why I'm not going to lie, Bobby. I was a little nervous about asking you because I figured again, you guys do talk about like a lot of the trends that go on, especially on social media. I was worried you would kind of know all the stories I get. You would be all over them. So
no, this week we purposely avoided just because I'm a man of integrity and I didn't want any advantage in this game since it is a competition. And if I do end up winning and making it to the playoffs, I want it to be fair and square.
Look at this guy, a man of the people, all about playing fair and square. If only the Houston Astros, followed your same moral compass there as a big Yankee fan yourself. Who knows? Maybe another banner be raised in Yankee Stadium. All right, Bobby.
All right.
1 out of 2. You ready for number 3 here?
Yeah, I got to get this one. I got to say above 500. That's the name of the game.
This could be the make or break one. Number 3. In order to understand the black culture more, Drew Brees has vowed to listen to more black rap music. 2020 or apocalypse?
That's See, now I'm trying to think. This might be a headline where they misinterpret
so to be fair,
some sort of information.
Just to make it clear for you, these are like what I'm doing is part headlines, also part like accumulation of info. So if I'll read a story, for example, and I can summate it in one sentence. So it's not like you have to think, is this a newspaper headline strictly? It could just be a story or a summation, a quick one-sentence summation of what actually happened. So just to get that clarity out there, you don't have to think strictly in headline forms. Would this be on the top of a newspaper? But just think, is this something that actually happened in 2020? Is Drew Brees, in order to understand the black culture more, as we know, had some very touchy subject or touchy comments about the flag and singing for the national anthem that upset a lot of African-American teammates and people. As he vowed, in order to understand the black culture more, to listen to more black rap music.
So I would have to say this is okay. So once again, because I like to dive into it, I like to kind of think out loud sort of deal. I feel this is one that, as I said, people may have thought like, oh, this has got to be real and maybe misinterpret something, but no way this happened. I would have to say apocalypse.
Bobby, you would be correct. The man follows his instincts and he crushes it. To be honest, I usually make up the apocalypse ones or come close. I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was real. There's a lot of people, I think it was on Saturday, a lot of people were reacting to this. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real. And then I eventually found out that the tweet was like deleted and it was fake. But I'm like, you know what? If people are believing this, I'm taking this for myself. But it is not believable. You, sir, 2 out of 3, one away from the playoffs.
That's one of the headlines where, or when you read it on Twitter, wherever it may be, you're like, please tell me this is not real. Like, for the sake of Drew Brees' career and what's going on, please tell me he did not say that. And thankfully, as we said, it is apocalypse.
For real, because his national anthem stance obviously did not cost him his job. But maybe saying that would have been the one to make him retire a little bit early. Holy cow. But thankfully for Drew Brees and really America, that is not the case. All right.
Absolutely.
This one, I'm excited for you. This one is very relevant to what you and what we're about to do with playing golf. You ready for number 4?
Let's hear it.
A group of golfers were so upset about a slow group in front of them that they called the police to complain about social distancing violations in hopes the slower group would be removed from the course. 2020 or apocalypse?
Wow, that is a absolute hardo move. Because they could just call this starter, and the guy could just move him along to the next hole, but they call the cops. Wow. Okay. And these are from this year, correct?
Yes, this is strictly 2020. Hence, 2020 apocalypse only happened within the last 6 months, well, almost 7, or not. So if it happened. Sorry, Bob, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. You're good. So people take golf very seriously, and there are a bunch of maniacs out on the golf course. I'm one. I like to enjoy my high noon, listen to some tunes, relax. If the ball goes straight or in the water, whatever, having a good time. A lot of people out there do not play golf this way, and I can absolutely see overreactions. And there has to be somebody out there in this country that has called the cops to go to a golf course. I have no idea if they have to respond. They probably think it's ridiculous. I'm going to go that is a real 2020 headline. Lock it in. Final answer.
I love the thinking. As we know, both of us, as our caddy careers, we know a lot of people, more than you would think, more than most, people hate golf. They're out there, they're miserable, they're cursing, it's an awful time, and they're just looking to get home, get to the 18th, and get off the green. So like you said, your style of golf is similar to my style of golf. Relax, have a good time. Not a lot of people have that same view. Well, with that said, this is not a true story. This is made up. This is not true. But I'll say this. Today, when you tee off in a few minutes, if someone's slow, don't be afraid to use it. I'll let you can use it. Call the cops. Call someone and say, hey, listen, we're too close. These people aren't playing fast enough. They're within 5 feet. Get them arrested. Get them off the course.
So that's actually a good loophole. Is it in the rules where if I make the headline happen within 24 hours of this contest, can we turn it into a real 2020 and I get the point?
I will. Ooh. Well, I guess I have to look at the police scanner later tonight. If you call the cops when they come to Timber Point because you are too close and they respond to someone being too close and breaking social distancing, we'll count it. We'll give you the retroactive point. How about that?
Wow, getting the cops called just for the sake of your show. That's dedication.
That's a good risk of possibly getting arrested yourself for misuse of 911. But hey, you know what? It's a competition. You got to win some way or one or another.
Yeah.
I appreciate the dedication. All right, Bobby. This is it, man. Make or break. You get this one, you're in the playoff. You don't get this one, unfortunately, you go home empty-handed. You ready for number 5?
I need to get this if I want to have a good score today. Here we go. All right, I'm ready.
For the fate of your golf game, number 5, the name Corona, just Corona, is one of 2020's most popular baby names. 2020 Apocalypse.
The long silence is me thinking. I don't even know how to.
The name just Corona, this. No coronavirus, spelled like the B or Corona. The name Corona just itself is one of 2020's most popular baby names.
It is kind of a nice name if you think about it, like Corona Hickey. It's kind of, it flows off the tongue nice.
Corona Young.
If you said, that COVID-19 was one of the most popular baby names, I would have to smack the apocalypse button. But I would say, like I said, there's a lot of cool names out there. You got your basic names. I don't know how many Roberts and Ryans and kind of those names that we've grown up with are going to be around. We're definitely transitioning to a new day and age of names. Corona, I could definitely see being in there. I'm going to go that is a real 2020 story. Hopefully, final answer.
Final answer locked in. Real, you're saying 2020.
I'm sweating.
You, sir. I just got to the playoffs. He's got it right, folks.
Let's go, baby. That's big. Let's go.
He's
cracking
got
open a high noon right now. Let's go.
He's celebrating. He's going wild. Rob Young has punched his ticket into the playoffs. How about that? 20. So would you name your baby Corona if you had a baby this year? It's an interesting. I'll say this. You're right. We are in the age right now of different baby names. We'll say that. You're right. The traditional names: Joe, Rob, Bob. Well, it's the same name, but Jeff. They're all out the window. No more plain Jane names anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Definitely no more Karens either.
No. Yeah.
There will be no more Karens in about 20, 40 years.
I was just gonna say, if there is a least popular name, the name that's on the extinct list, Karen is number 1 for sure. Maybe up there
right.
with Brad and Chad of the guy version.
Yeah, exactly. But to answer your question, I'm not a politician. I don't jump around the question. I would say no. I am the third. So firstborn son would be Robert, and I would probably not do that if I had a daughter to name her Corona.
Interesting, because the article said it was listed more popular under a girl's name.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Corona does sound like a girl's name more than a guy's name.
Ends in an A, one of those things.
Yeah. What the hell? I guess Corona can be either way, but more girls and guys for 2020 named Corona. Bobby, I know the T-Tame's coming up. Don't want to hold you up anymore. You crushed it. This guy comes up clutch, Mr. Clutch himself, 3 out of 5. We will see you in the playoffs, so congratulations. Have a great ride. Hit him straight today.
Thanks, Hick, and thanks for having me on. You have a great show. You do great things. I always love tuning in. And like you said, feel free to, for those listening, Coast to Coast podcast. We have a good time with it. Hope you guys enjoy it. And like you said, keep listening to this guy, Ryan Hickey. He is the best that does it.
Listen, I don't sense any lies either way. Coast to Coast, great pod. And hey, Bob says, listen, I'll listen to him. That's all I'm going to say. He's a man who's in the playoffs right now, folks. Bobby, hit him straight, buddy. Have a great round.
Thanks, Hick. I'll talk to you soon.
My guy, congratulations to the great Rob Young. Clutch as could be, 2 out of 5 on the fence here. Can we get on? Can we not get on? He punches his ticket. He is going to the playoffs. And now to at least finish the tease that I started in the beginning of the show. We are starting to come down to the home stretch of 2020 Apocalypse, at least in the quote-unquote regular season version. Bobby just punched his ticket, 3 out of 5. Now he's in the playoffs. I just did the math before. He is currently the 9th person who has scored at least a 3 out of 5 or better. So what the plan is going to be here is that the enrolling is ending soon. We're going to try to get one more person to qualify for the playoffs, 3 out of 5 or better. And then we'll have 10 people on the show. We'll 10 contestants that will make the playoffs and try to compete to be the 2020 Apocalypse champion. How it's going to work is we're going to seed those 1 through 8. We have some that made 4. We have some that got 3 correct. So for those like Sarah and Lauren, both got 4 out of 5. They're going to be the top of the seeds. They're going to be top of the rankings. Bottom of the rankings, obviously, those who get 3 out of 5, who skate by, who get it. So how it's going to happen, 10 teams. Obviously, it's tough to do a bracket format. But how we're going to do it, we'll give the first two seeds a bye, which, again, someone gets 5 out of 5, they go right to number 1 seed. And then we'll have a play-in tournament 2 through 10, eliminate some people there, keep going forward, and we'll do a bracket tournament-style competition until we have 2 contestants remaining, and then we will have 1 2020 Apocalypse champion. The format will stay the same. We'll have both on the phone at the same time. 2020 Apocalypse will get their answers. We'll still do 5 questions. We'll still see who gets the best score. Maybe have some bonus questions here or there. It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy, folks. I would tune in. Going forward, this month of July is going to be a wild one for 2020 Apocalypse. So if you want to get in, if you've been waiting, I'll get on eventually. I want to see how it goes. But I do want to play. Now is the time to get in, because as soon as one more person makes the playoffs, as soon as one more person gets a 3 out of 5 or better, we are closing down the regular season, and we will get to the playoffs, and we will make sure and see at least who is going to advance and how we're going to get some sort of playoff format. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Continue to stay tuned. We'll give you updates as it goes on. Again, if you want to play, now is the time to reach out, get on the list, and get on the show before it is too late. So again, we appreciate Bobby. Congratulations to him. 3 out of 5. He has cashed his ticket. He has punched his ticket into the playoffs, and he will be advancing into the playoff field when that gets going here in a little bit. So when we come back, we'll finish up the show with this. The New York Knicks have been anything but competent, anything but successful. I don't have to tell you that, right? Even anyone who knows, anyone who's even heard of the Knicks knows the first word that goes to the Knicks, dysfunction. So now, again, they're looking for a new head coach. They fired David Fizdale, 22 games into the season last year, which feels like, 10 years ago, but it did happen. So they're looking for a new coach. There's one coach out there, the Knicks plan on interviewing, that not only I think would be the perfect hire for them, it would take the Knicks in a direction they've always shied away from, they've never wanted to go to. I think it could be beneficial for the Knicks going forward. So we'll tell you what that direction is, who that candidate is, when the Morning Boys Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
I'm not going to lie. I am currently sweating. Not only because it's a little warm in here, but I was fired up. I was nervous for Rob. 2 out of 5. Ooh. Win it, get it, and you're in. Lose and you go home. That's clutch. That pressure right there breaks some people. But Bobby stayed firm, stayed poised, got the question right, and got himself into the playoffs. A truly remarkable performance by Rob Young to get into the 2020 Apocalypse playoffs. Coronavirus, that is correct. Or I'm sorry, Corona, just Corona, is one of the most popular baby names of 2020. It's I'm not sure if I would go that route, because to be honest, at least the way I feel about 2020 so far, 7 months in, essentially, is that I feel like I'm trying to get past 2020 and forget about it as quick as possible. Put it in the rearview mirror. I feel like the last thing I want want to always kind of be reminded of and keep going back to is this year, is the coronavirus, is the 2020 pandemic, everything that's happened so far this year with social unrest, the virus itself. There's just 2020 has been an awful, awful, awful year. So I feel like the last thing I want to do is constantly be reminded of it by naming my son or daughter by the name Corona. But hey, now is the time. This is the time where if you want to name your child whatever name you feel like, after a city, after a food, after a virus, hey, now is the time because a ton of people are doing it. No more Jeffs and Jims and Johns and Steves. More Coronas and other names like that as well. So it's an interesting one. But folks, this is 2020. This is the world we are living in. Corona is a very, very hot and popular baby name going forward. So expect to hear a lot of the name Corona going forward. As we get older and as the years go by, that name will keep on popping up. So we talked a lot about a lot of quarterback discussion, NFL quarterback discussion. Starting with Cam Newton signing the Patriots. Brian Snow writes on Facebook, Cam Newton will not see one down with the Patriots, and I happen to agree with Brian. I said I'm skeptical that he's even going to be on the team when training camp ends, and I firmly believe Week 1 comes, whether it's September, whether it's October, whether it's January, whenever the NFL season tries to get off and gets underway. Jarrett Stidham is going to be the Week 1 starter going forward. Just too many question marks about health of Cam Newton, about his ability to quickly learn an offense, develop chemistry with a team he has never worked out with, talked to, spoken to, visited in person. And now to do that all in a short, condensed amount of time, I think is just really unfair to him, puts Cam Newton behind the 8 ball. So for that reason, I think, like I said, the two themes I'm going to look at this year for the NFL season is going to be continuity and is going to be familiarity. Teams with new head coaches are going to be behind the 8 ball. Teams with new quarterbacks, like, for example, the Colts bringing in Phillip Rivers, or if the Patriots decide and try to force Cam Newton into it, I think it's a very tough year for people in new places, even Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay, to build up the chemistry, get on the same page as your receivers, as your team, when you're not allowed to hang out with them, you're not allowed to work out with them. Your own Players Association is telling you, and your own Players Association doctor is telling you, players, please do not practice with each other. Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay, throwing passes to Rob Gronkowski, throwing passes to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Please don't do it anymore. It's not safe. So now the more that you get of saying don't practice, don't be with each other, don't see each other in person, stick to Zoom, stick to, learning the playbook online, video conferences. It's just tough for Cam Newton to get on the same page and get some continuity and get some familiarity with what the Patriot system is, with what the coaches, what their motivation is, what their philosophy is, and learn how the receivers go about running routes and all this other small things that go into having a successful offense. So for that reason, I'm with Brian. Brian says he won't see Cam Newton play one down with the Patriots. I tend to agree. A lot of people on social media, which we tend to do, we do overreact a lot. This is the time to do so. A lot of people are crowning the Patriots AFC East champions. A lot of people really saying now all of a sudden the Patriots are contenders in the AFC. You have the Chiefs and the Ravens obviously in their own class, but right below them they think the Patriots are the third best team in the AFC. I happen to disagree and disagree wholeheartedly. Jarrett Stidham will start Week 1. I think he's going to be the guy in New England going forward. This Cam Newton signing to me does nothing to change that confidence I have of Jarrett Stidham being the starter when the season, whenever it decides to happen, does get underway. I do want to get into, finally here before we wrap up and get out of here on this Monday, the Knicks head coaching search, because there's so many different directions the Knicks can go into when hiring their new head coach. All right, now that July is rolling around, now that the restart for the NBA, for the teams that are in contention going out to Orlando is going to happen, the teams that are left behind, the 8 teams that aren't going to be playing, are starting to get ready, for the draft, start getting ready for next year. And with that, the Knicks are going to try to find a new head coach. They fired David Fizdale 22 games into last season after a year and 22 games of no success. And now, at least right now, there are 11 known candidates on the radar for this new head coaching opportunity. And those candidates from all different backgrounds highlight all the different paths that the Knicks can go down. For example, Tom Thibodeau seems to be the front runner for the job. If he is hired by the Knicks, it seems like the plan is going to be, you're going to coach the team you have, But the goal is going to be we're going to try to get some sort of star player somehow. Whether it's free agency again, trying to go after Giannis in 2021, or trying to get another disgruntled free agent, maybe in a trade. But one way or another, the Knicks are going to try to go after a superstar to bring him to New York. And that seems to be the plan if you're going to hire Tom Thibodeau. Another rumor late added to the mill, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd, it's believed and rumored that he can help the Knicks make a run at Giannis when Giannis is a free agent after next season. And here we go again, what this feels like, especially hearing the Jason Kidd rumors, really got my blood to boil because it's like, here we go again. What is the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. What have the Knicks done 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago? They've tried the same thing. Their goal, whenever they fire a head coach or bring a new one in, whenever they hire a new GM, whenever they hire a new president of basketball operations, their goal and their outlook and their push and their message has always been, we're going to get a star player to sign here. We're going to go after LeBron James, and he makes the decision to go to the Heat. We're going to go and get Kevin Durant. We're going to go and get Kyrie Irving. We're going to go make a push to get the biggest superstar in the market. He's going to come to New York. He's going to be the difference maker going forward. This head coach, this president, this general manager is going to make it happen. So now here we go. The rumors flying around. Jason Kidd always going to help the Knicks make a run. They're going to get Giannis next year. Excuse me. You know what's going to happen if the Knicks hire Jason Kidd? Or if the Knicks hire Tom Thibodeau and try to either acquire via trade or try to sign a big-time free agent like they try to do, again, every year it feels like for the last 15 years. They're going to swing and miss. They're going to set their sights high. They're going to settle very low. They're going to tell you this is the plan we wanted all along. We wanted to sign Taj Gibson. We wanted to sign Bobby Portis. We wanted to sign Julius Randle instead of signing Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And the Knicks are going to sputter their wheels. They're going to be terrible yet again in 2 to 3 years. What's going to happen? Going to fire the head coach, going to fire the GM. We're going to be in the same spot. The same message is going to be sent again in 2 or 3 years. Think about it. Amari Stoudemire, with all his health issues, was the biggest Knicks free agent they've ever signed in my lifetime. And that even happened because of the health concerns. So the Knicks have, for years now, have tried for the same exact plan. Expedite the rebuild. Quick turnaround by signing a big-time free agent. Oh, this is the coach that's going to get the free agent there. Leon Rose has great relationships with players. He's going to get big-time players to come to New York. Players don't want to come to New York because it's a black hole. It hasn't worked yet. This plan has not worked yet. LeBron has not come to the Knicks. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving not only didn't come to the Knicks, they came to New York with a different team. They went to the Nets. The Knicks have to do something different. And I bring up the Nets for this reason. The Nets built their program, built their team through development. They drafted young players. They brought more out of them than was maybe thought of. And they built a young nucleus, a core that really was one superstar away from being elite. And after years of losing, after years of development, after years of playing young players and developing a nucleus where there are a core amount of guys that they can be trusted and be successful, you know what happened? Players took notice. Star players took notice. They realized, hey, the Nets are only 1 or 2 big-time players away from being legitimate contenders. I'm a big-time player if you're Kevin Durant. I'm a big-time player if you're Kyrie Irving. Let's go to Brooklyn. Let's be the players that put them over the top and make them contenders. This plan is the exact plan the Knicks should adopt. Development. Not chase after a free agent. Not try for a quick fix by bringing in some superstar and hope that from there the floodgates open and more players want to play with the superstar. Because guess what? It hasn't worked. And all you do is keep on ending up in the same place year after year after year after year. So this is the case I'm going to make for the next head coach of the Knicks. And to me, it has to be Kenny Atkinson. Because what Kenny Atkinson just did, I just highlighted. When he was the head coach of the Nets, he developed the Nets into a contender. How did he develop the Nets into a contender? How did he develop Nets into a playoff team? By drafting, by identifying talent, by developing that talent, and he taught them how to win. He took guys like D'Angelo Russell, who was jettisoned from the Lakers. He took guys like Spencer Dinwiddie, who were overlooked in the draft. He developed them. He got the most out of their talent. And last year, the Nets made a great run to the playoffs, where they were knocked down the first round by the Sixers, but they still were a fun playoff team. He took a young team, built a young core, built a young nucleus, taught them how to win, and set the Nets up to where, you know what? This is how you bring star players in. Star players want to go to teams where they think, you know what? They're only 1 or 2 pieces away. I could be the difference for this team being a contender or not. All the pieces around are good. They just need that one talent level to put them over the top to get them there. Because the NBA is a star league after all. You win with the best players. The Knicks' goal is, here's this black hole. You have no resources around you. Our staff has struggled at identifying talent. More importantly, our staff has struggled at developing young talent. So really, whoever comes here, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, talks to Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, who has connections to Leon Rose, whoever wants to come here, be a trade or free agency, the cupboard's going to be bare. You're basically going to put the team on your back, and the Knicks are going to have to win because this player is just so much better than anyone else on the other team that they have to consistently do it by themselves. Which star player wants to do that? Let alone do it in New York, where if you have a bad game or miss the final shot despite scoring 60 points, people get on you. No one's going to get on the fact that, hey, the second, third, or fourth guy is just not good, not picking up his weight. So look at the Knicks roster right now. There's Frank Ntilikina, heading into his 4th year. Kevin Knox, heading into his 3rd year. Dennis Smith Jr. heading to year 4. R.J. Barrett heading to year 2. Mitchell Robinson going to year 3. There is a ton of young talent here that I still think has potential, hasn't been tapped into, hasn't been developed. Dennis Smith Jr. is a really good player. I still like Frank Ntilikina. I think he has potential. I still think Kevin Knox can be a pretty good player. These players haven't been developed. They haven't been coached the right way. Kevin Knox, for example, can barely get on the court 10 minutes a game. I'm not really sure. I'm not an expert. I'm not a genius. I'm not really sure how you can expect a young player to develop and get better when they're playing 10 minutes a game. When they're playing, they're barely getting on the court. So the Knicks, for being as bad as they are not even losing the right way because they're not even playing their young guys to get them some experience and to help develop them, see how they can improve. They've opted to play guys like Bobby Portis and Taj Gibson and Elfrid Payton. They're opting to play older guys, older veterans who we already know what they are, but what good does it do? You got to tap in. You got to see what young players have. You can build something here with a ton of the young nucleus the Knicks have. So if you hire Kenny Atkinson, see what he did with the Nets, you hope that he can turn Frank Ntilikina around. You hope that he can get the most out of Kevin Knox to where, you know what, now he's not a bust as a lottery pick. R.J. Barrett showed promise. Mitchell Robinson shows promise. Mitchell Robinson's still very raw. He needs development. He needs help. You need to hire a coach that fits with the roster you currently have. Getting a Thibodeau, getting a Jason Kidd, and hoping to get a big-time talent, you still need the team around that talent to win. So what good is it of getting a Devin Booker or Karl Anthony Towns or even a Giannis if the rest of the team stinks? If the rest of the team can't hold up the weight? Because guess what? We saw LeBron James, the best player of their generation, one of the best players to ever play the game. He can bring a bad team along with him. He can bring a team to the finals when the rest of the team can't carry their own weight. But he can't win the finals. And again, that happens with a once-in-a-generation type player. So you need to build the roster around these superstar players that will help you get through the playoffs, that will help you get to the finals and win. So develop first. Do something you have tried to avoid to do for whatever reason for years on end. Develop the players you have. Try to build something from the ground up. Make it marketable for these big-time players to come here because they say, hey, listen, Frank Ntilikina is pretty good. Kevin Knox is a great role player. R.J. Barrett is really starting to blossom. Mitchell Robinson is a great guy down low in the post. What they need is one superstar away. I could be that guy. That's how players now choose teams. Make yourself marketable, not by just saying we're the Knicks, we played MSG. Because that's what they've done now for 2 decades, and guess what? Players enjoy playing there as visitors. Not many players want to come to the MSG to make it their home arena. Because they see the dysfunction that goes on in this organization. They see the backstabbing that goes on in this organization. They see all the blame getting skirted elsewhere except on the people who actually deserve it. So I beg the Knicks. I beg Leanne Rose. More importantly, I beg James Dolan, because we know James Dolan has all the weight there. Please, look down the road at Brooklyn. Look at what Kenny Atkinson did. Look what he built. Look at the reasons why Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted to go to Brooklyn. Think about that. For the entire last year, we always thought, oh, KD's going to go to the Knicks. It's a shoo-in. It's a slam dunk. Went past the Knicks to a team in the city that's the second team in the city. Same thing with the Clippers. The Clippers and the Nets are the same exact teams on each coast. The Clippers built a young, respectable roster that was one or two superstars away. And despite being the second team in the market, the overlooked team in the market, they landed Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. The Nets landed Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant because they both had young, feisty, hungry, young nucleuses that all they needed was a star player. They had the grit, they had the hustle, they had the will to win, and they knew how to win. They just needed that talent to elevate them to the next level. Clippers did it. Nets did it. Paid off big time. The Knicks have to do it. Please, please, please hire Kenny Atkinson. Please go the developmental route. Please take some time to where you're going to lose anyway for a few years. At least make it worthwhile. At least have an end goal in sight. Hey, this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to develop these guys. Instead of playing retreads for 30 minutes a night as the Knicks lose 60 games yet again. So that's going to do it for this edition of the show. We end on quite a passionate note. Hopefully the Knicks can do the right thing. Hire Kenny Atkinson. Go down the route of development. Give you your best shot going forward to have a chance at some point to actually be successful. So see what the Knicks do. Hopefully Kenny Atkinson is the guy. And if so, I will feel very good about the Knicks' future. I'll feel a lot better about the Knicks' future than I do if they hire any of the other 10 candidates that are up for the job. That's going to do it for this Monday edition. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate Rob coming on, playing 2020 Apocalypse, coming up clutch there. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Again, July 4th week. So if you're off for the whole week, for company shut down, like some people I know, enjoy the week off. Enjoy the holiday weekend. But we will be back here on Thursday, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.